And we have a very special guest with us today, Darrell Knoch. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you live in Scottsdale.
I do. I've been there for about a little over 3 years now.
Oh, okay. And you came from back east, or?
Well, I actually moved there from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was there for about 23 years before I came to Scottsdale. I was actually born in Michigan, grew up in the Chicago area.
My goodness. Well, good. You decided to warm up. That's excellent, Darrell. Seriously. Well, you're an investor, a real estate authority, a financier, a public speaker, mentor, and an author. And the book you have written is Mastering a Healthy Self-Image, the guidebook to real happiness and enormous success. That's a big claim.
It is. But I spent 35 years growing me as a person, and I put that 35 years of experience into that book, and I believe that it lives up to the claim.
Well, obviously, this must have had something big to do with your life. You apparently had kind of a rough childhood, and it was bad enough some kids never make it out of that. But you've done tremendously well.
Well,
what happened?
I'm the youngest of 7. My father left home and left my mother with 7 children to raise, and so she had a 9th grade education, so what she did for a living was she worked in the school cafeteria at lunchtime, and then she cleaned the school in the evenings. And so with 7 children, that wasn't enough to make it, so we were on welfare. We lived in the projects, and I had one more little thing, and that was I was about a year of age, and my older sister, which was 11 at the time, I started running out toward the road at 1. She came running after me to catch me so I wouldn't go out into the road, and she tripped on the sidewalk, and she fell, and she landed on the back of my head, and she literally crushed my face.
Oh.
And I joke because I'm here live with you, and you're seeing me, and I'm sure you have the question, well, you look fine.
Yeah, you look great. You must have figured out something to fix somehow, I guess.
At 16, I got my first surgery, but we literally were so poor, my mother had no choice but to just wipe my face clean. And it has taken 3 surgeries and 16 hours of surgery. It's kind of a joke, but to get me to look this pretty.
Well, you do. You look really good. It should be TV because you would never guess. But I'm sure that was a tremendous gift to you at that age to get it fixed. It must have been disfiguring, I suppose.
It was. Literally, they have cut both of my jaws off and moved them forward about 1/4 of an inch. And they have reconstructed my nose 3 times in order to get it to look.
You don't look like Michael Jackson at all. Thank God. You're doing good, Darrell.
Well, thank you.
Wow. But does that make it hard on a kid? I mean,
well, it
does.
affects
your self-image, I assume.
I mean, if you, and forgive me, but as a female, if you had a crushed face, would that not, at least make you think about who's looking at me? What are they thinking? I'm 57. Kids were no kinder 56 years ago than they are today. So I got called pug face. I got called the nose. I got joked with a lot, and so it definitely made me a little angry. If somebody were to give me some grief about it, I'd be the first one to reach out and smack them.
But you didn't feel good about yourself then.
I didn't, and I literally grew up with a very poor self-esteem, and I was spunky and I was angry, but I had a really poor self-esteem, and so I had a gift given to me in 1977. My oldest brother gave me a set of Zig Ziglar tapes, and it changed my life. And I became a student of human nature. I became a student of raising my consciousness, raising my inner feeling of who am I. And I had the good fortune of, over the course of the next several years, of starting 5 companies and taking them national and international. That's how much it changed my life. It really just rejuvenated me and gave me the freedom to go out and do whatever I thought that I I wanted to do. And so I've had the good fortune of taking 5 companies, national and international. And so I retired about 4 years ago. I had 4 people that passed away on me, one right after another, and it just shocked me. It was my mother, sort of our only child of 17 years. It was a dog, but we'd never had children, so that was our child.
You betcha.
Then my wife's mother at the time, she passed away. She came down with brain cancer and was dead in 6 weeks from the first notice. That shocked me. Then her only uncle passed away. And so all of that, I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. I really just don't want to chase money.
You have to reassess your priorities, don't you? What does life mean to you?
And so... Is
that when you wrote the book, Darrell?
Actually, I moved to Scottsdale to see some sunshine because it rains a lot in Chattanooga. It's very green. And so I literally rode my bicycle up and down the Greenbelt in Scottsdale for about 2 years. I bought a motorhome. I chased all over. I put 13,000 miles on that motorhome in 2 years. And I did a lot of really rejuvenating me again. And then I said, I feel pretty good now. Now I need to go do something. But if I'm going to go do something, I want to do something that really means something to the world, not just go stack up money for the sake of stacking up money.
Because you've made a lot of money.
Well, I've had the good fortune. I don't have it all. I literally tell people, in the course of when I say I've taken 5 companies, national and international, I also have to step back and say, during that education process, I filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy 3 times.
Oh my gosh, and just rebuild.
But that was the key. I just said that because I made mistakes does not define me as a failure. What would define me as a failure is if I did not get back up and go do it again. Mm-hmm. So I just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it till I got it right.
You hear that so many times where really dynamic people, they make a ton and then you're playing big stakes games and you lose it all and you start over again, but you have what it takes to make it happen. Now, this mastering a healthy self-image, so when you wrote that then, saying, what was it that made my life change, I'm guessing? Exactly.
That is exactly the story. I said, what am I going to do now? And I said, I know how to take a young boy growing up in the ghetto of Chicago with a crushed face and turn that person into a multi-million-dollar producing. In fact, the company that I sold 3.5 years ago, we were doing $500 million a year in revenue. And I said, I know how to take that young boy that has not got the resources and learned how to have all the resources that I could have. And that's my goal in life now is I'm going to spend the next 20 years going out and teaching as many people as I can touch. How do you take yourself from wherever that may be? You may not want to go build a $500 million a year company, but you got to be happy. How many people just have such a negative outlook on life? You got to have self-confidence. I mean, the world has lost their confidence right now. And I looked and I said, you know what? That's my mission. I'm going to go out and I'm going to touch the world, and I'm going to give back all of what I've been given over the last 35 years.
Wow. And phenomenal. And connected with that, you have actually you have a university, True Wealth University.
Yes.
That you founded.
And my little saying with True Wealth University is education for the mind, body, the enhancement of the mind, body, and wallet. Because true wealth is, if you don't have a good, healthy mindset, it doesn't matter what you do, you're never going to be happy.
It's not enough. You see that with the Hollywood people a lot. It seems to the rest of us, lowly folks, that they have everything.
Right.
And yet so often they blow it. We go, wow, you're kidding. Lindsay Lohan's in prison again. Anyway, so kind of a sad thing. But you have a postcard with a lot of tenets on it. I suppose these tenets are things that are in your book that have to do with self-esteem.
They
do
are.
They, Darrell?
I made that up years ago for me
Mm-hmm.
because I needed to grow my self-esteem. I needed to grow my self-confidence. I needed to learn to like me. And so I made this up, and I put it on my mirror in my bathroom, and I look at it every day.
It's like affirmations.
It is.
Then. So I like myself. I love my life. I am excited. I am happy. I am healthy. And I add brightness to the life of everyone I meet.
As a matter of fact, can I say it again the way that your audience should say it to themselves?
Oh, yes, because they have to believe it somehow, right? They have to make it work.
The more passion you say that, the more it sinks into your subconscious.
I say because you're not going to believe it maybe when you're first saying it, right?
Well, in fact, the first time I ever said it, I did not believe it. I was embarrassed to say these things to myself, and I knew. But I said, if you're going to change your life, you have to do some things that you're uncomfortable with. And I said, I'm going to change my life, and no one is going to stand in that way, not even me. And so I made this up to say, I like myself. I love my life. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm healthy. And I add brightness to the life of everyone I meet. And the more passion you say that to yourself, the first few days, it's going to be uncomfortable. It will be uncomfortable, and it was even for me. But by the time you get to 30 days, everyone around you will start to see the difference in you.
So it literally changes you as you say, okay, this is weird, but my mom used to say, even if you don't feel happy, act like you're happy, and pretty soon you will be.
Absolutely.
And it's a bizarre, universal law. But it's true.
It is.
Act like it even if you don't feel like it, and soon you will feel like it. So, now tell me about this coin. You have a coin here. It says, I am grateful for... ... It's called a gratitude coin. What is this,
Well,
Darrell?
about 7 years ago, I was teaching a seminar in Nashville, Tennessee. I lived in Chattanooga, and I was driving home after the seminar, and I was sitting there daydreaming to myself. I'm a big daydreamer, and I really believe in daydreaming because daydreaming builds excitement. And so if you're going to be excited about your life, you got to daydream. So I was daydreaming, and I said, you've been gifted with all of this wonderful stuff. Certainly you've had some challenges. You've gone broke a few times, and maybe several times, I should say. But you've had a great life. I mean, even going broke, I've traveled 30 countries around the world doing what I've done, taking these companies out to the international marketplace. And so I said, you've had a spectacular life. But you kept daydreaming about when can I reach this next level of success? When am I going to reach this next level of success? And I said, you need an anchor, something you can touch every day that will remind you to be grateful for today. Mm-hmm. And so I pulled over to the side of the road. It hit me like a lightning bolt, I guess you might say. And I said, I've got it. I'm going to design this coin that says gratitude coin on it and remind me, what am I grateful for today? And so I pulled over, I designed it, and I thought, I've got another great idea. I can touch the world with this coin. And so I literally, the next morning, I talked to my assistant, and I said, find me a place to mint some coins. And about 2 weeks later, I had 10,000 of them sitting on my desk. And over the last 7 years, I've passed out more than 15,000 of these coins, almost all of them. Let me say 90% of them personally. To be, as an example, even though we haven't talked much, one of the things I would have done today is to say, Sandy, I'm so appreciative of you allowing me to be here to spread my message that I want to give you this coin to show my appreciation for the fact that you've allowed me to be here. And I tell people, if you touch this coin every day, it has magic in it. It will remind you every day to be more grateful. It will make you a happier person because you are more grateful, and being a happier person will change your life. So if you want the magic, you got to touch it every day.
just to remind you, the attitude of gratitude does just change it. Yes, we have so much. Sometimes we're always looking forward. We don't realize where we are and what we already have too. So, and you're taking this to kids.
I am. I was in a restaurant in Scottsdale, probably 2 to 3 months ago. I don't remember exactly. And I had it was kind of a little cafeteria. It's called Chipotle Grill. And they were building a little bowl for me. And I don't like spicy food. I just don't like it. So I always go in and I'll joke with them and I'll say, I'm a special needs person, so I need a special way for you to build this for me. And sometimes some of the people there are not so excited about that. They're not as friendly.
Get the vision.
But this young lady that was there that night, she had the greatest smile, she had the greatest attitude, and she was so helpful in helping me put my little thing together. And so I slid this coin over around the counter, and I said, I want to give you this as a token of my appreciation, because you didn't have to give me that great attitude, but you did. And I want you to remember, and I told her my little story of that gratitude coin has magic in it. And so I was busy doing my thing, getting my little bowl made and talking to the lady that was helping me. She probably was 18, 19 maybe, but she had a great attitude, and I wanted to reward her for that attitude. And so all of a sudden I got touched on the shoulder, and I turned around, and it was a lady maybe 30 at the most, and she said, that was wonderful that I heard you just tell that story to the person that helped you. She said, I'm a third grade, excuse me, I'm a third grade school teacher. And she said, I'm always trying to teach my kids gratitude and being kind to one another and doing gestures like you just did to make someone feel good. That young lady told me, she said, hey, you made my day today. Oh, and so that's always nice. And so I gave her a couple of coins, and about 2 weeks later, she sent me an email and said, I've been using your coins in my classroom every day, and it has made a world of difference. And the principal and assistant principal, they've had all the other teachers in the whole school come in and watch, and we want to know, can we buy coins for the school to use just like I have? And the NBC Channel 12 out of Phoenix, they did a story on the whole gratitude coin at the school, and I mean literally, if you go to TrueWealthUniversity.com and watch that video on my front page, it'll bring tears to your eyes about how those kids are using that coin.
Wow, that's great. Again, that's TrueWealthUniversity.com.
TrueWealthUniversity.com.
Okay, and you can see that and find out more of this stuff. You can probably get a copy of Mastering a Healthy Self-Image there as well, the book.
Yeah, in fact, if you go out to True Wealth University, there's a button there that you can put your information in, and we'll send you a gratitude coin for free.
Oh, that is great. That is great. Well, and we have to say, you're here in town. You're actually going to be signing your book at our very own Prescott Hastings here tomorrow night.
I am.
Right, and what time is that going to be, Darrell?
I'm not sure. I think it's about 6 o'clock, but I'm not sure. I know if you go out to True Wealth University and look on my events page, it will tell you what time, but I think it might be 6 o'clock.
All right, and I assume you'll talk to people about that, and they can get a copy. And again, Mastering a Healthy Self-Image, the guidebook to real happiness and enormous success. And you've practiced what you've preached, obviously, Darrell. I mean, this changed your life.
It did, absolutely. The information in this book changed my life. If I can say to your audience, if they know anyone in the Prescott school system, I would love to donate coins so that they can teach gratitude in their classrooms also.
I am sure you have a lot of takers. Again, do they go to TrueWealthUniversity.com?
TrueWealthUniversity.com will get you in touch with us.
All right. That sounds excellent. Again, Darrell Knoch will be signing his book at Prescott Hastings this Friday, tomorrow night. So get on over there and check it out, because obviously Dynamic has changed this man and spread out a long ways, too.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us, Darrell.
Bye now.